There are two main types of account, savings and current. Current is the standard check account, requiring a regular deposit of money, your salary or student loan, to remain functional. Nowadays, cash is still king, and many transactions are still carried out in cash. For example, if you are renting an apartment, the deposit and first month's rent are often paid in cash. To send money to another country, you will need an IBAN number and a BIC or SWIFT number of the bank you will send the money to. However, for foreign exchanges, banks are often not the best way to send money. For better rates, use a currency broker. It is easy to set up an account, and the rates are often very much better than the banks. U.S. scientists have recently digitally reconstructed the scene of a dinosaur chase preserved in the mud of an ancient riverbed in Texas. The Paluxy River site in Texas, USA, where one of the most famous sets of fossil prints was found, only reveals prints of larger dinosaurs. University of Manchester researchers used computers to simulate prehistorical creatures making tracks in different types of mud. They found that soil conditions had to be perfect for different dinosaurs to leave fossil footprints behind. And it also explains why tracks were left at some sites and not others, and it provides us with potential information about the lifestyle of these prehistorical animals. By using computer modeling, we were able to recreate the conditions involved when a 30-ton animal makes a track, said Dr. Peter Falkingham. Once you have collected your source material, you should then sketch out a plan. Begin by writing 3 or 4 sentences which provide a summary of the essay. You can amend or add to the plan as you proceed, and it provides a useful scaffold for your essay. It also ensures that you cover all the main themes that your essay focuses on the question. Ideally, you should plan to examine the question from all sides, presenting various views before reaching a conclusion based on the evidence. In the past, people often interpreted an eclipse as a danger signal heralding disaster, and in fact, the Chinese were so disturbed by these events that they included among their gods one whose job it was to prevent eclipses. 1,000 years ago, a total eclipse of the sun was a terrifying religious experience, but these days, an eclipse is more likely to be viewed as a tourist attraction than as a scientific or spiritual event. People will travel literally miles to be in the right place at the right time to get the best view of their eclipse. Over the past 170 years, bicycles have undergone an enormous number of changes. In fact, the bicycle is now a mature product, so much so that any dramatic advances are no longer likely. However, there are still exciting times ahead for the bike. Concerns about pollution, health, and traffic congestion, as well as fashion and new construction materials, are highlighting the role of the bicycle in our everyday lives, and for many people, especially over short distances of less than 8 kilometers, using a bike can often be much faster than driving a car.
Well, as you don't need me to tell you, Barfoot has changed a great deal in the last 50 years. These are some of the main changes. 50 years ago, buses linked virtually every part of the town and the neighbouring towns and villages. Most people used them frequently, but not now, because the bus companies concentrate on just the routes that attract most passengers. So parts of the town are no longer served by buses. Even replacing old, uncomfortable buses with smart new ones has had little impact on passenger numbers. It's sometimes said that bus fares are too high, but in relation to average incomes, fares are not much higher than they were 50 years ago.
Deep water marine environments have been a relatively unexplored area until now. Hardly any drug discovery research has targeted the deep water reef communities in this habitat, and in particular, the bacteria living in these communities. Early studies by a new research group, as well as a thorough review of published reports, strongly supports the theory that these areas could produce new medicines.
Regular smiling has lots of health benefits, especially when the smile uses muscles around the eyes and you show your teeth. This kind of smiling can reduce stress, lower blood pressure and make you feel happier because feel-good chemicals are released by your brain. But smiling does not only benefit you, it can also spread happiness to other people. Researchers in Sweden asked participants in a study to look at images of faces. When the participants saw a happy face, they moved their own smile muscles. When they saw a sad face, they moved the same muscles they use when they're unhappy and frown. Most of the time, of course, they had no idea that they were moving these muscles. So smiling has physical and mental benefits for you, but it can also provide the same benefits to people who you smile at.
First there was the internet, finding newspaper articles to read, but little interaction, and few learning opportunities. However, as the internet has evolved, a newer tool, web conferencing, has redefined how learning takes place. Basically, web conferencing is the use of multiple tools, web pages, voice over internet protocol, file sharing, voice and text chat, to create a rich learning environment fostering interaction between one or more people in often real-time communications. To give you an example, I once participated in a web conference where I was the presenter on authoring audio for the internet. I had to show a PowerPoint presentation to the attendees. At the appointed hour, teachers logged into the website where the presentation was being held and listened to my presentation. The attendees could view and flip through the PowerPoint presentation and ask me questions via text chat. The entire dialogue between me and the attendees was archived so they could come back to it later and print it for their reference.
In today's show, I'm going to be looking at what's new in technology this week. And I'd like to start by looking at the much-awaited OP56 mobile phone from technology giants Optiware. It has some amazing features. The first thing you notice is how much slimmer and lighter it is compared to the older models. It's incredible considering that they have actually increased the screen size on this one, though it still fits neatly into your pocket. They've also improved the camera, and you find you can take much better quality photos on this model. This has an impact on the battery though, as it takes a lot of power, and I found it didn't run for very long before needing to be recharged. Overall, it is extremely easy to use for each of you. Bullying can take a variety of forms, from the verbal to the physical, as well as indirect forms. Bullying is clearly unpleasant and can make the child experiencing it feel unworthy and depressed. In extreme cases, it can even lead to suicide, though this is thankfully rare. Victimized pupils are more likely to experience difficulties with interpersonal relationships as adults, while children who persistently bully are more likely to grow up to be physically violent and convicted of antisocial offenses. Maths lessons all follow the same pattern. At the beginning, the pupils put solutions to the homework on the board, then the teachers comment, correct, or elaborate as necessary. After the homework has been discussed, the teacher explains the new topic of the lesson, slowly and with a lot of repetition and elaboration. Examples are demonstrated on the board, questions from the textbooks are worked through first with the class, only rarely are supplementary worksheets distributed in a maths class.